So what I was thinking we should talk about is the anxiety that parents have around transition from primary to secondary. What do you think?
Great idea. There is a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Commonly felt, and I think some of it at least is a little bit unfounded.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, I know lots of parents get a little bit concerned about school size. Their children are moving to a much bigger school. In practice, it's not an issue. By the end of their first week, most children have found their way around. They're very comfortable in their new environment. They're very confident.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think same goes for friendships. I think parents are very concerned about their children's friendships. They're concerned if nobody from their class in primary school is in their tutor group. They're concerned if they're going to a secondary school and they don't know anybody. I think that parents over worry. Children make friends very, very quickly, and actually evidence suggests that firm friendships aren't really formed until 14 years old.
Another thing that I think is important is the journey to and from school, which parents tend to worry about. At primary, they're travelling often with the parent themselves or with friends who might not even be in the secondary school with them. So I think people need to be secure that children will find their own way. They'll meet new friends, they'll meet new people and acquaintances to walk with. It's not something that parents need to be worried about.
I agree, and I think what we should say about parental anxiety generally is that sometimes parents transfer the anxiety that they themselves felt when they were at secondary school to their children when they're at secondary school, and it's important that secondary school is very different now, and that parents need to be mindful of that, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, I think that's really important.
But there are maybe not well-founded anxieties, but I think we should acknowledge the fact that secondary school is very different to primary school, and parents and children should prepare themselves for the differences.
Go on, such as?
So one of the differences is that a secondary school is never going to know your child as well as a primary school. In a primary school, often your child will have one class teacher that knows them very well, that they will have had for a whole year. At secondary school, first of all, it's just bigger, and also they're likely to have a tutor, but the tutor is probably going to be with them only 20 minutes a day. So you're...
Hold on, true, but the tutor is their advocate. That is the person who should have a watch on them, should be the person who's taking responsibility.
Agreed, but don't expect them to know the pupil as well as the teacher did in primary school.
Fair enough. I think that leads quite naturally on to communication, which I think is important too. At primary school, parents are used to pretty much instant access to teachers in the playground every day. That is different, and I think the tutor, to come back to them, does have a key role as being your first point of contact and is the person you need to be in touch with first if there's anything you're worried about. If that isn't working out, then I would say you quickly approach the head of year, who's the next in line in terms of seniority, and should be the person you go to if your concerns aren't addressed quickly.
Yeah, agreed. Head of year, key contact. And back to what you were saying about the size of the school, one of the differences I think is important is that the child will not be in the same class every day like they are in primary school. They will be moving around a lot, and that is something that they've got to get used to.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, and it links neatly to the number of teachers, which is the reason why they're going to be moving around, because they're going to have different teachers for every subject, and that number in the primary school is pretty much 1, and in the secondary school it's going to be 10 or 11. Now that is a massive change in the number of relationships that you and your child are going to have to form, so that's something you really do need to bear in mind.
Agreed. Hence your point that your communication is with one person, first of all the tutor, then the head of year. And I think communication is interesting because you're going to be much more isolated as a parent, and you've just got to get used to that. At primary school, sometimes you would be a parent who picked your kid up in the playground. You'd probably be part of a network of parents. It's very different at secondary school. It can be quite isolating, but actually that's not a bad thing, because I think as a parent you've got to remember that the secondary school is the place for your kid, and you've just got to step back a bit.
Exactly. think that's absolutely right. Lots here for us to think about and talk more about. So I think we'll come back to some of these
agreed,
themes.
agreed.